Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dominic Davis, also known as Brown and Bendy. And here on this channel, we practice flexibility of the mind, the body, and the spirit. First things first, if you consider yourself a part of the Bendy bunch, if you consider yourself gang, you want to be a part of the newsletter. All you got to do is go to the description box. There is a link that'll take you to a magical place called my website where you can enter your email in, and then I'll email you an uplifting newsletter every Wednesday. And it's cool because I put where I am spiritually on my journey. I include what books I'm reading, like all the fun stuff, all the things. We're Brown and Bendy. So if you care about this brand, go ahead and sign up for the newsletter so you can keep up with all the things. Okay, what are we talking about today? We are talking about how to speed up the process of getting through a storm. Now, time is a human construct, right? I know it's like the last thing you want to hear, but do you remember being in school, like whether that's middle school or like high school, and you wanted to get out of class, so you would keep staring at the clock, and the more you would stare at the clock, the longer it would take for minutes to go by. That's exactly how it is when we're going through a storm. We are constantly checking every part of our reality to see, is this season of hardship over? Is it time for the sun to come out? Is it time for bluer, clearer skies? And I want to let you know that storms always do come to an end. It's going to come to an end, but there are a lot of mental habits that we have as humans that can make the process feel like it's taking so much longer than it actually is. So in today's video, we are going to talk about how to be as emotionally productive as possible while going through a storm, so that the storm comes and goes without that much emotional turmoil for you. You feel me? Okay, so if you are going through a season of hardship, the very first thing that you want to do is just acknowledge it. Acknowledge that you are going through a season of hardship. So it's going to be one of two things. It's going to be either you're one of those people who you never want to be a bother and you never want to, you know, be too sad or too emotional about anything. Okay, you have to recognize that you are going through something, and this is a time to be emotional. It's okay. And then you have the other side where you may be a person who is always emotional. You have a perspective that life is hard, life is bad, your whole life is a season of hardship. That is an illusion. That is not true. So also recognizing that if you're going through a season of hardship, it is a season that will eventually come to an end. And if you are in this place where you're still trying to acknowledge, give yourself permission to acknowledge that you are going through something, I encourage you to take time and to really sit and allow yourself to feel the frustration that comes with going through a season of hardship, because a lot of us, we don't really feel worthy of acknowledging when things are hard, because a lot of society tells us, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, put on a smile and get through it. And that's not always productive, and it's not great for our nervous system. So I encourage you to sit with your feelings, and no toxic positivity here, no powering through it here. No, ma'am. No, Sam, no, ma'am. We are going to sit and feel. Okay, we're going to feel our emotions. That's the first thing I recommend. The second thing that I recommend, and y'all know, y'all know I'd be riding with Jesus now, so I consider myself Christian, and I know that when you consider yourself a Christian, you attract other Christians, and I do not know how other Christians are going to feel about this part, but I got to be true. I got to be honest. So the other part of acknowledging that you're going through a storm and going through a hardship is to keep track of your vices. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that in order to reach enlightenment and be the most spiritual person that you can be means that you don't ever do anything that works against that enlightenment. For example, the different things that we do to cope with high emotional, stressful situations, such as smoking, drinking, overeating, all the things. What I am telling you is if you are going through a season of hardship, that is often when addictions start to really rear their heads and show themselves, and we can become very attached to certain behaviors because we find security in those behaviors. So I'm not going to tell you to not indulge in any vices because I don't think that's realistic, but I am going to tell you that as an adult, you need to be 200% aware of the vices that you gravitate towards, and the vices that how often you are indulging in those vices. And every time that you do indulge in that vice, being very aware of your emotional state, being very aware of what you're doing, because that awareness is going to help you. Again, we're talking about how to get through the storm, right? That awareness is going to tell you, like, okay, I did this 3 times today, I'm going to try to only do it 2 times tomorrow. That is going to help you emotionally evolve, which is, in my opinion, what the point of a storm is. But let's just get to that part of this video. Okay, so I feel like this is going to be a Venn diagram of like the New Age girlies and the Christianity girlies. And like, I think that that Venn diagram is relatively large, if we're going to be honest. The things that New Age and Christianity have in common, so many things, but the bottom line is Jesus, right? But what I will say is there is a level of faith that must be acknowledged when going through a storm. And when we are going through a storm, it is up to us to decide whether we believe that this is something that is just happening to us for no reason, or whether we truly believe that everything that happens to us has significance. You got to decide what side of the fence you're on. You have to decide what you truly believe, because that's going to show up in your belief system. And when you are suffering, you're either going to feel like you're suffering for no reason, or you're going to feel like you're going through the fire for a reason. And knowing what you believe, again, that momentum to get us to the end of the storm, knowing what you believe is very, very relevant. So I have a scripture here, and this scripture is from James 1, chapters 2 through 4. And it says, "Consider it a great joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you experience various trials, because you know that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its full effect, so that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing." When we experience hardship, we are being matured. We are turning more into the version of ourselves that we are ultimately meant to be. The person that you are at 21, you don't want to be that person when you're 50. So from 21 to 50, you experience different scenarios and situations that mold you and help you grow. And sometimes those experiences are really awesome and great and fun, and sometimes they're not. And it's quite possibly right now you're going through an experience that is not quite awesome. When you understand that everything that you're going through works towards your good, even the stuff that doesn't feel good, it allows you to get out of victim mindset and more into an emotionally productive state where you can become more of an observer as opposed to being a victim. In the same breath, I also do encourage you that if you are going through a hardship, ask yourself, what part of this equation, what part in this oh my goodness, I cannot talk. What part in this equation did I play? Not to even allude to the idea that you are the cause of your storm. Not at all. But when we're able to look at our storm and see any possible part of the storm that we could have played a part in, we are able again to even further back out of victim mindset and say, okay, maybe next time I will do that differently. And that's really exciting, because a lot of times when we go through struggles and we begin to suffer, we can become so disconnected from ourselves and our power. So it's very important that when you go through something difficult, you understand whether you believe it's for no reason, or if you believe that you're being refined and turned into the ultimate version of yourself. I don't really know where my audience falls on this type of thinking anymore, because I'm definitely a Christian now, but I also hold a lot of my old beliefs as well. So when it comes to being Delulu, for years I was Delulu with law of attraction. I was just like, all I need is faith. All I need to do is act as if say less, I can do it. And when I learned who Jesus was and I fully understood who Jesus was to me, it became very easy for me to take all that faith and put that faith in Jesus. So I have a very strong Delulu muscle, if you will. And it's really the understanding of what I'm choosing to have faith in. That's something I'm very grateful to the whole new age stage of my life for. My ability to have so much faith without needing physical proof in front of me. I think the ability to believe in the unknown and the unseen is what can allow you to have stillness and peace in moments of suffering, because the suffering comes from what you're observing in your physical reality, or sometimes the suffering comes from what you're afraid of experiencing in your physical reality. So when you learn to have faith in the unseen instead of fearing the unseen, that storm all of a sudden doesn't feel as harsh, and that storm does not feel like it has the ability to be bigger than you, because ultimately God is bigger than the storm. Recognizing the transformative power of a storm softens your heart. So if you are going through something that is unfair and has derailed all the plans that you have for your life and was just so unexpected, I just want to say I'm sorry. I am so sorry you're going through that. And I am so sorry that you're experiencing what you are experiencing. And I wish you nothing but peace and comfort and joy. But all that being said, when you are aware that what you're going through has the opportunity to transform you, you can soften your heart to what you're experiencing. Because a lot of times when we go through storms, a lot of the things that are happening are outside of our control. So we want to make sure that we are not playing the blame game and saying, I made all this happen. You could have been responsible for a portion, maybe a lot of it, but you are not responsible for every single part of the storm that is happening to you. So if we could back away from the dashboard and just for a moment, just for an itsy bitsy second, believe that there is an intelligent consciousness that sees us, that knows what we must experience in order to evolve, perhaps we can soften our heart to what we are experiencing and say, I'm going to come out better at the end. When we get into that mindset, there's no more staring at the clock saying, when will this be over? We're able to shift our focus to the present moment. No more looking at the clock, but coming to where we are right now and saying, okay, I'm here. This sucks, but I'm alive and I'm breathing and I'm loved. Life is good. Okay, so this is going to be the most important part of this video, because if you're going through something, that matters, and you're in pain, that matters. Everything I'm saying before is just like advice to soften your heart and help you see the light at the end of the tunnel, but it doesn't take away from the fact that you're going through something. What you're going through matters. Your emotions, your feelings, your discomfort, your fear, it all matters. So that being said, I want to be so clear with this. If you are going through a storm, please allow yourself to gravitate towards people who have space for you. I'll speak about myself for a moment. When I was a little bit younger, before I had kids, I never really believed that people cared about me when I was going through a storm. Whenever I was suffering, I would gravitate away from my friends. I would gravitate away from my community, and I would suffer on my own and maybe with a friend or a romantic partner. But oftentimes that friend and that romantic partner were going through their own things. So I was gravitating towards emotionally unavailable people. Okay, I'm talking to somebody. If you are going through a storm, you want to put on your big girl pants and from an adult perspective, see who in your life has emotional space for you. Those people who have emotional space for you may not be the people you normally gravitate towards. I will again speak for myself. When I was younger, I stayed away from people who were too happy. I stayed away from people who were financially secure. I stayed away from people who seemed like they had it figured out because they made me feel insecure. Okay, but those are often the people who are in a good emotional space to have room for you, the emotional support that you need at that time. So, what I am saying is if you are going through a storm, allow yourself to gravitate towards people who have space for you emotionally, that you can practice intimacy and vulnerability with. Speak to them, confide in them, talk to them. These should be trusted people. This could be a family member, a friend, someone from your church, or someone from a community that you visit often. Maybe somebody you haven't talked to in a long time. It does suck. My battery's dying. This battery ain't even fully charged. Like I was saying, it does suck to reach out to someone and be like, I need to talk to you, and then to just fully vomit all of your emotions onto them, especially if that's a person you haven't been there for before. It's not a mutual relationship. But hopefully on this channel, we're learning how to be people who support others and are good community members and hold space for all people, right? So we're growing into being that type of person. So learning how to lean into people who have emotional space for you. And this is not an open-ended statement. There's another side to this, a side that you might not like. So leaning into people that have emotional space for you, but there's a lot of guilt that comes with that, right? There's a lot of guilt that comes with allowing people to support you. You can absolve that guilt by holding space for people who are in emotional states that are even more dire than your own. So while someone over here is holding space for you, you're over here holding space for another person because there's someone going through something worse than what you're going through. There is somebody going through something worse than what you are going through. And that perspective, again, point of this video, getting through a storm without feeling like it's going to take forever. That perspective shift of understanding that God did not single you out to ruin your life. It is a breath of fresh air, but it also helps you realize that there is more that you can be doing to support people in your own community that are suffering. Support is not financial. Support is calling someone to see how they're doing. Support is making a bagged lunch or a couple of bagged lunches for some homeless people in your community. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that there's nothing you can do. You don't have anything. I don't want to hear it, because if you have breath in your lungs, you can spare a smile. You can spare a how are you today. And the beautiful part about it is if you're a person who's very emotionally locked up, you're very private, you're very closed, simply sparing a smile, simply starting a conversation with an elderly stranger who may be looking like they want some human interaction, doing things like that are what opens you up to love. That's what we're about here. That's all that we're talking about here on this channel. Being more loving people, receiving love, giving love. Ow. Receiving love, giving love. That's it. That's all we're talking about. That's all we are concerned about. So by finding that give and then taking from people who have the capacity to give to you, you've created this beautiful balance within your storm. And within this balance, you're not going to be looking at that clock. You're not going to be worrying about when is this storm going to be over. Instead, you're going to be focusing on the people in your life that you can love and receive love from. Okay, I think that's where I am going to leave you for today. I feel like this was the most chaotic video. Hopefully when I edit it, it won't seem as chaotic, but please believe filming it was something else. It was something else. But we made it. We made it to the end. So Bendy Bunch, my homies, my friends, how can I pray for you? Talk to me. Let me know. How can I intercede on your behalf? How can I go to God and talk to him for you? Yeah. What can I say? What can I do? Leave a comment down below. Let me know what I can pray on, and I will happily do it. Okay. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up so other people on YouTube know that it's valuable. It helps the video and the algorithm and things and words. If you would like me to expand on anything that I've talked about, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. I'm so excited about this new style of video because like I can talk about anything. I can talk about anything. How freeing is that? Okay, so if you want me to talk about anything, let me know in the comments. And last but not least, please make sure that you are subscribed and that you click that notification bell, even though I'm not sure if it does anything. I'm not sure if YouTube tells you guys when I make a new video. So, you know, for the sake of the spiel, comment or subscribe and click the notification bell, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how effective it is. I don't really care all too much. If you're on that newsletter, you'll know when I make a new video anyway. So yeah, that's all I have. I love you, but Jesus loves you more. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye.